Welcome, I'm Dr. Todd Royce. After some Wi-Fi difficulties, today we're talking about stress and dealing with stress. So as I was coming on and my deadline was coming on, I was all stressed out. So how do we deal with stress? I'm here representing Chiropractic First and Rhino. And with all I have going on with chiropractic and with Rhino, there is a lot to do all the time. I feel like every second of my life there is more to do than I have time. Raise your hands online if you have experienced that. Excuse me, the microphone's not pointing at me. There, perhaps you can hear better now. So, we can't always change what's happening around us, but we can change how we respond to it. That's the key. Just like it's been said that we can't direct the winds, but we can direct the direction of our sails. First of all, why does stress matter? Stress is an amazing adaptation. God put stress in our lives to save our lives. If a Tyrannosaurus Rex is running after me, I'm going to have to either fight it to survive or run away from it. My body's going to make a tremendous number of physiologic changes in order to survive that ordeal. I'm going to raise cortisol. That mobilizes blood sugar. I'm going to release adrenaline in my body that's going to mobilize muscle energy. It's going to create more ATP. My body's going to be ready to either fight or run away from that. If there's an immediate stress reaction, I have to lift the car off my child because my child's going to die because the car's on top of him. I'm going to have to generate tremendous forces to do that. An amazing creation by God. The problem is a lot of us are acting like we have a Tyrannosaurus Rex after us all the time when that's not happening. So what happens is all that constant adrenaline release, all that constant cortisol, it has drastically bad effects on our whole bodies, on our hormone systems. Too much cortisol creates extra body fat, creates hormonal releases that constantly perpetuate stress. It puts our body under a constant state of dis-ease. So when we're in dis-ease, we have no health expression anywhere in our body. So how do we stop stress when it's affecting our head? It's affecting our thyroid glands and other hormones. It creates headaches. It creates digestive issues, cardiovascular problems. When we have cortisol and other stress hormones, we are drastically negatively affecting all the other hormones in our bodies. It affects our reproductive systems. It affects our immune system. One of the biggest reasons people have so many allergies, have so many colds and flus and other problems is because of stress. Stress weakens our bodies and shuts it down. So how are we going to combat this? Yes, there are things that you can do to combat stress. So we talked about 3, but today you're getting an extra bonus of a 4th tip to help combat stress. So the number 1 thing we can do to combat stress is simple. Drink more water. Pure H2O helps cleanse and detoxify our body. It also helps us eliminate stress as we eliminate other things. So what happens when we hydrate, there was an amazing book written called The Body's Many Cries for Water. I highly recommend that book. Most of us are chronically dehydrated and we're suffering for it. So simply drink more water. You should be drinking at least half your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 130 pounds, you should be drinking 65 ounces of water every single day. And a great idea is to drink quite a bit right away in the morning when you wake up, but don't drink all 65 ounces, then spread it throughout your day. And ideally, don't drink too much with your meals. Drink it in between meals. That's when you'll absorb it better. And too much water in your stomach will actually alter digestion, will dilute your hydrochloric acid and stop your digestive process. So the second tip for reducing stress in your life, it doesn't mean your kids aren't going to still come in and freak out and be worried about things. It doesn't mean you're not going to have to go do work at school or have work stress or financial stress. But this key, I don't know how people get by without it. It's like I say in my life, I don't know how people get by without God. That's a huge thing. But how do people also get by without exercise? For me, sometimes exercise feels like a chore, but I've never finished a workout and say, I wish I had never worked out. Working out, exercising, both immediately wears out stress, but also long term it reduces your body's effect from stress. So I don't know how someone can do this and not feel better after. I'm not super warmed up, so forgive me on the form here. But picking up heavy things and then dropping heavy things, come on, that is awesome! That just gets that Viking power out of you. You got to just lift and move heavy things and then drop them. If you're not doing that, you're missing out, man. Come by our Rhino sessions and you can do a free workout on Saturday mornings. But short of that, go do your own workouts. But don't do workouts where you're just like, how do people live on that treadmill or that elliptical machine all day, day in, day out? You people have more discipline than I do. Your workouts should be fun. But yes, immediately, I feel awesome when I drop and pick up heavy weights. But also long-term, your body will adapt when you exercise regularly, so the stress will wash off your back. So, woo, I'm breathing a little hard from that one. So, the third key is meditation. Now, meditation means a very different thing to a very different number of people, but something you do should check your mind out from all the pressures day in and day out. Some people chant a mantra to meditate. Some people just sit and breathe deeply, which is the next one. There's a secret for you. Some people will take a biblical scripture and they'll just sit and they'll just repeat it over and over again to let it sink into their mind and into their body. All traditional cultures throughout history have had some form of meditation. It's a very, very powerful way. I'm not perfect at this, but I try to get in 2 20-minute meditations every single day. I probably am like, if that's 14 times in a week, I probably get at least 10. I don't know what people do without that. Like, I have so much pressure on me all the time, and there's always work to do. But if I don't get that in, I'm a spaz. Well, let's face it, I'm a spaz anyway, but I'm usually a happier spaz when I meditate. So the fourth key is this. If you've been around me long, you've heard me talk about box breathing. The way you breathe influences your mindset and your stress level more than anything else that you do. The way you breathe influences your mindset and your stress level more than anything else you do. The way, just kidding. So, breathe. Most people, we all breathe, of course, but most of us are just shallow chest breathing. If we can cultivate deep breaths, we can heal our minds and our bodies. Now, here's what I mean. If you have a Tyrannosaurus Rex that's running after you, you're going to breathe shallow and fast in order to survive that ordeal and get away from that thing. So fear creates short breathing, which creates more fear. It's a vicious circle. Now, most of us continue, we have one stressful event and we keep breathing that way all the time. By the same token, if you breathe short, you will actually create more stress in your body because it's a vicious circle. So you have stress, so you breathe short, so you have more stress, so you breathe short. So we can actually interrupt that cycle by the way we breathe. This is not just fluff. Sometimes people think when I teach them how to breathe, it's like it's just fluff. This guy, Eric, that I've been taking care of for a couple years now, chiropractically, I've been adjusting him. He's had great results with chiropractic. He had an old fracture in his spine. He's had some amazing healing, but I noticed he just always has this baseline level of stress. He spends half his time in Hollywood. He's one of these Hollywood people, half his time up here in Redding. And what happens is he's just always in a constant state of stress. And I just noticed that. I said, Eric, you've got to learn this breathing technique that I'm about to teach all of you. It is the simplest thing in the world. It's so simple that some people are going to miss it. It's like Jesus says, let the children come unto me. The reason is because they're so simple, they accept what he says. If you accept this, I promise you, this will change your life. I just had another guy I was on the phone with. My web design guy was saying, when I taught him this technique, it changed his life. I've never had anyone do this that it didn't change their stress levels. Here's how you do it. It's so simple, it's unbelievable. So I'm going to get something real quick. Okay, so it's called box breathing. And here's how you do it. Can you see me okay? Okay, so you're going to breathe in for a count of 5 seconds. Now when you breathe, it should be through your nose. And if you've ever done any much yoga, you do ujjayi breathing, or a breathing in which you restrict your throat, constrict it just a little bit, like you're trying to fog a mirror, like a... that little constriction. You should hear that sound of constricted flow. You breathe in for a count of 5 seconds. You hold it in for a count of 5 seconds. Even though you can't read my writing, I guess this is just for my entertainment. You breathe out for a count of 5 seconds. And I'll bet you know what's next. You hold it out for a count of 5 seconds. Called box breathing. So we're going to go through a few rounds. Now as you sit here, whether it's right now or whether you watch this tonight or whatever, follow this pattern. Now if you're in your car, please, you can still do this. Actually, I do this a lot in my car, but please don't crash into somebody and send them to me, even though we're good at taking care of auto crashes. So breathe all the way out, everyone. Breathe in. Hold. You doing it, Belinda? Breathe out. Hold. Breathe in. Full deep breaths. Breathe out. Hold out. Breathe in. Hold last round. Hold out. Let it out, rather. Hold out. Awesome. That is life-changing. When you can just simply do that, 5 minutes a couple times a day, do it in your car, do it when you feel there's someone you really feel like you want to choke, but you really shouldn't. Simply do that breathing, I promise. Set an alarm on your smartphone that says 3 times a day, 8 a.m., 12 p.m., not 12:15 because that's lunch and learn, and 4 p.m. or whatever, life-changing. Leave in comments how this has affected your life. If it's a week from now, come back and comment on this video. If you like what you're hearing, subscribe to this. These are also going up on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. We hope to be of a huge benefit and service to you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Dr. Todd Wish with Chiropractic First, and have a great day.